What's going on, everybody? Sean Martin here from NJSportsReport.com, hanging out here at Red Bank Regional High School for the conclusion of the 2016 Maroon and White girls basketball camp. 3 days of great short conference basketball action, as always, has lived up to its standard. We've had some great games to talk about here, some exciting new faces, some, of course, exciting returning faces to all of these teams as we've gotten our first look at them getting ready for the winter. And here is our annual Marooncast podcast as we're going to break down what we've seen these past 3 days. We are presented today by Current Recovery. You can go check them out over in Belmar, New Jersey, and we, of course, recommend that you do that. So joining me to go through what we've seen these past couple of days, we have Jim Rosa and Wydra, fellow NJ Sports Report writers with me. Guys, how you guys doing?
Good, Sean. This was obviously a great camp, and it's a great event to be part of every year. This was just a great place to be for a couple of great days of basketball.
It's been a really great camp, Sean. We had a chance to see some of the best basketball teams in the area, like Manasquan, St. Rose, who dropped in, St. John Vianney, Red Bank Catholic. And it was even nice seeing some of the visitors coming down from New York, like Monsignor McClancy.
Yeah, let's just jump right into things to start right there with Manasquan. Like you said, another season where they're coming into the summer and into eventually the regular season as a team that, will be a TOC pick, will be a team that we expect to win plenty of games for sure. Once again, they have some new faces, of course, that Lisa Krakow is excited about, and you'll hear from her later as we did get a chance to talk to her. But, just talking about this Manasquan team, something I asked Krakow, but something I want to talk about with you guys as well here is it almost feels like expectations don't get to them at all, or they don't exist in this Manasquan program anymore. It's just, another year we're expected to win, well, we'll go win. Even last year, and I've been bringing this point up to you guys off the air here, I feel people don't even mention how close they were to winning that TOC championship against SJV when everybody in the world was saying, this is SJV's year, here they are, it's going to be a parade for these seniors, they're going to go out on top like it's all supposed to go. Manasquan tried their best to absolutely make sure that wasn't going to happen for SJV. Took them to double overtime, and it took Darren Mabry fouling out. So we know how good this Manasquan team has been, and we know how good they can be in 2016 because we've seen them, these past couple of days. They've looked good with Victoria Galvin back out there on the floor, of course, and still try to get a chemistry going with Faith Masonius, who is not out there. Darren Mabry, of course, not out there as well. But Galvan, looks like she has some size. Obviously, the rebounding ability that comes with that. Interior presence, just another element that this Squan team is going to have once they welcome Faith back, and then they'll get Dara back, and all these things coming together for Manasquan is to obviously be another top short team once again.
It was a good point that you mentioned about Victoria Galvan, Sean. I mean, a lot of people will discuss the 2015 TOC championship team, and they'll talk about Marina Mabry scoring 36 points in a championship game and her legacy, and rightfully so, but Victoria Galvan was a huge, huge part of that entire playoff run. I mean, she averaged double figures in both points and rebounds throughout the playoffs. And even going back to the TOC championship game, I mean, you look at when they played St. Rose, it was actually Joe Whalen's strategy to pull Victoria Galvan out of the paint.
Great point, yeah.
In order to be able to dominate the board. So having her back this year and also combining her with Faith Masonius, our NJSR Freshman of the Year this past season, that's just going to be an outstanding combination because it's going to allow Faith to play her natural position, which is on the wing, where she can turn and face the basket, where she can really hurt you from driving the ball and taking the outside jumpers.
That's another thing that I guess goes with my first point there, where, it seems like this Manasquan team handles expectations by acknowledging that they almost don't exist. It's because of players like that aren't the superstars, but can play like superstars at times. If you have a player like Galvin who's never going to be in the spotlight like that, like you said, who's going to be Joe Whalen's big focus when you're going to a game against St. Rose, and you still have to deal with Marina and the talent they have, you're obviously setting yourself up for a really successful season.
I mean, Sean, we look at today's camp and we can see that they have plenty of role players that can really just take the ball without question, and I think that's something that Lisa Krakow has really, been able to tell these players, hey, look, you guys all have a special skill set, and you guys are all going to have to play with that skill set on the court. You look at players, like Nikki Stevens, how great she was in the playoffs last year. Now she comes out today, and they're able to play. They're able to play as a team even when they don't have their complete starting five out there. And you see, even without Faith playing today, and you see without Dara Mabry, that this team can still be very effective in these practice situations. They can all learn how to play as a team, and they can learn that, hey, when these players come back, and they know now that when these players come back, that they're going to be able to be a great team.
Speaking of Victoria Galvin, Jim, I know you had a chance to talk to her over by Court 3 here earlier today. Let's take a listen to that interview. We'll give you that here on Marooncast, and be right back with Sean Martin, Jim Rosa, and Wydra. So here is Victoria Galvin from Manasquan.
Well, Victoria, first of all, it's great to see you back on the floor for Manasquan. How have these last couple months been? How have you been able to get back in a basketball routine and just try to get yourself back into, just playing great basketball with these girls like we've seen?
Well, to be quite honest, this is actually my first game, my first day back. I've been playing softball in the summer. Okay. So I've been when I've been around, I've been going to practice with them and working out and training and stuff. But it feels great to be back.
Obviously, we saw everything what Faith was able to do with this team last year, and now you coming back with her makes guys like us very excited to watch this team.
Yeah.
How are you feeling, preparing to play with her throughout the rest of the, the preseason and into the regular season? I'm
excited because, one, it's when Marina was here, it was just easier on me because everyone knew who she was, right. And I feel like Faith's kind of like that. So it'll give me and our other players more opportunities to step up and do stuff.
You mentioned you were playing a lot of softball. Obviously, you're going to go to college to play softball, and you're very good at it. But how is your softball career and playing softball in the spare time really helped you get back to your basketball career here?
It kind of freed up my mind, kind of it eased me back into contact and moving, and because pitching is it's a lot of twerking on your and on your knee, so it kind of made me more comfortable with basketball, sliding left and right and cutting and stuff, so it eased it back in.
Has the overall process coming back been more difficult or fairly easy for you, and what have been really the challenges to just suffering an injury like that in general and then coming back and a lot of people expecting to perform at a high level?
Yeah, I mean, it's been rough. I'm gonna be honest, it hasn't felt amazing. But it's also, this is the time where I can just keep playing and pushing myself and seeing what my limits are. And then once I know what it is, just building on that and getting stronger. So.
Are you excited overall to just be coming back to basketball? Obviously, I know this was a big love for you when you were playing, and obviously you mentioned all those times. And for this team especially, this team finds themselves, last few years in TOC finals. So obviously a big reason. How excited are you to get back into the season and just get back to those, those big games that you guys know as a team you can get back to?
Yeah, I'm really excited because it's kind of basketball is kind of my getaway sport from softball. So it's nice to just actually be able to compete and not be oh, I have to. It's not as stressful for me, I feel so it's nice to.
How has Coach Shakota been able to help you throughout this process? Obviously, having a coach like her, very player-minded coach, and obviously I know she's going to do the best she could to help you get back as quick as possible.
Yeah, she's been helping me a lot at practice. I know, the first time I set a screen, one of my teammates ran right into my knee, and I went off. I was no, I can't do this. And she was don't worry, we're gonna get through it together. She's very supportive, and she's been helping me, getting more comfortable, dealing with it rather than, going a step up back.
Let me ask you this: has it been very apprehensive playing in these summer games, considering these were one of the games, not this particular game, but in a way that you got hurt playing in a game that didn't really mean anything?
Yeah, it's a little nerve-wracking, but I mean, if you play in fear, it's what's the point of even playing?
Right. Yeah. So I mean, you're just trying to get back and seeing what you can do. But hey, look, I appreciate it. So
right,
thank you.
Back here at Red Bank Regional, NJSportsReport.com, you just heard from Victoria Galvin once again from the Manasquan Warriors. One player that, guys, we failed to mention, and I think it's just because Manasquan is so talented elsewhere, and even before she came here, but they do have a new transfer. It's from Colts Neck, and it's Lola Mulaney now. Star freshman player there, of course. We all got to see her play multiple times. I think first came onto the scene at the WBM where she was just hitting everything from three-point range, and now that's just another element that Manasquan has, outside on the shooting shooting on the perimeter. You know about Dara Mabry. We've talked plenty about her. She's going to get plenty of attention by defenses and score plenty of points. Stella Clark, her running mate, they have great chemistry with. Now Lola kind of in this backcourt. How do you see her mixing into things? And, obviously she's going to get some chances to shoot. And, how a shooter like that can spot up and open things up for the bigs that we talked about, Galvin, deterred from, Faith, things like that. But as far as Lola, finding a way with this team, it's not really a concern, I would say, for Manasquan, but it's something they're going to have to figure out. How do you see that going?
Before we even talk about the rotation, Sean, first of all, Manasquan is getting an outstanding shooter in Lola Mullaney. If you look at her performance last year in several games for Colts Neck, she was just dynamite behind the three-point line. She had an excellent game against Neptune. Like you said, she was very effective in the WOBM tournament. She's just got so many different qualities that you look for. She's a really good defender, too. So she's definitely going to be a nice addition, but as far as the rotation goes, I would say from the beginning she's going to be coming off the bench. So it's definitely going to add some depth. It's going to take Lisa Kokoda some time to be able to work out different lineups. There's going to be a lot of mixing and matching. As we saw here in the camp, we'll see that again in the Hoop Group Fall League coming up, but she'll definitely be another nice weapon for them.
And you and I had a chance to talk to Manasquan's head coach, Lisa Kokoda. She talked about some of that depth that she had. I asked her about Mullaney as well. So let's hear from the head coach of the Manasquan Warriors. That would be Lisa Kokoda here on Marooncast.
All right, Coach, you guys have had a good showing here at camp so far. I know one thing you've always tried to do during this event is to try and develop your bench as much as possible and get a lot of work in. Who has really impressed you the most over the past 2 days?
Yeah, absolutely. We use this, Maroon and White is a great event, where we know we're going to see quality teams, quality varsity players. So we use this for everybody in our program to get experience against varsity players, because you can't do that during the season. So it allows us to give, some returning JV players, some, girls who were on our varsity bench, give them the opportunity to play, and really just get our team out there, get the girls playing together, mix it up, see who plays well with different people, and really just put ourselves together as a program, and start doing the things that we do, together, so that we can see our weaknesses, we can see what we do well, so the girls can then develop that in the fall.
Now, what does it mean for the team overall, especially for the younger players, when you have senior leaders like Stella Clark, Addie Masonis, and now the return of Victoria Galvin, 3 players who have been to the Tournament of Champions 3 times now?
Right, absolutely. Our senior class knows, they've been a part of our program, for now 4 years. So we have that trust between each other. They know what I want, what our program is all about, the things that we do. So they're allowed now to kind of be those commanders on the court and demand things and hold the younger girls accountable. And it allows our younger players to learn from them, recognize here are girls who put in the time, who have been a part of our program, and who know what we're all about, and like I said, they've earned that trust from me, that I know I can trust them and what they're saying and how they're going about, leading our team.
Last year, Faith Masonis burst onto the scene, won the Freshman of the Year award and really had one of the most spectacular performances I've seen in the Tournament of Champions final. Especially with having to play out of position all year with the injury to Victoria Galvin. How much better is it going to make you guys as a team now having Victoria on the court playing the center position and Faith being able to also play on the outside as a wing? Yeah,
absolutely. We now, with getting Victoria, back into the swing of things, and seeing how she develops throughout this preseason, we have a deep rotation. We have a lot of girls who can step onto the court, and we were able to do that a little bit last year, with allowing Nikki to play in the post and Maggie Kelly to play in the post and pull Faith out. So we have tons of options. Victoria obviously gives us that size, where if we need to go bigger at times, we can go 3-4 bigs, or if we need to go small and fast, we can do that. So, it just adds to the versatility of our team, allows players to play in different positions depending on where we need them. So, again, we have a deep rotation, where we can really play a lot of girls who can do some things well for us.
How much has Nikki really improved throughout this camp? she really came out of nowhere for you last year and made a great impact.
Yeah, Nikki works hard. She's a hard worker. She's always, in the gym working on her game, and that goes for almost all of our girls. They're calling each other. They're getting in the gym early. At 7 a.m. and they're asking if they can get in the gym before we practice to shoot. So we have girls who know that they need to put in the time. To get on the court, to play against these great teams. To play against great players, and Nikki's a great example of that. And like I said, there are a lot of girls who do that for us, and who understand the commitment it takes, in order to be a part of our program.
Yeah, you mentioned the depth and the versatility that this team has, and obviously that's going to be probably the top reason why, once again, Manasquan went to the season with high expectations. But at this point, is that even something that you think about as far as coming into the year with this team, or is it just another year we're expected to win and you handle it from there? Because it seems like this team's obviously been so successful, even though they've had things to deal with, and this team obviously looks to be very talented.
Yeah, we never come in. We come in with high expectations for ourselves, but we never come in guaranteeing that we're going to be anywhere. Right. Because you need to work hard. Our division, our conference, the play in the state is way too talented, for us to think that we're going to just automatically get anything, and I don't think any team, in the state really thinks that, because anything can happen. Anyone can show up on any night and, give you a great game, and so we just always come in, no matter who our opponent is, and planning to do the things that we want to do the right fundamentals, be on the same page, hustle, play hard, have that energy. That's what we're all about. And if that works for us, then by all means, we'll be happy, and we'll be facing great competition. Who we know will give us a game any given night.
Yeah, it certainly seems like that message, resonates throughout this whole team. You mentioned the seniors that can help with that, the younger players that can, buy into it and work hard with that. Of course, your newest player being Lola Mullaney, who just transferred in here. What has been your message to her? What have you been saying to her about, welcoming her to the program and setting up those expectations, like you said, and bringing her that message? Yeah,
we really even haven't had like a deep conversation. Our program is what it is. Our girls are who they are, and we play the way that we play. So, and that's what we're all about. We're all about Manasquan, and what's going to benefit our team and our program. And everybody understands that. We're about Manasquan girls basketball, and everybody just comes in, works hard, loves what they do. They love playing with each other. I think you can see that on the court. They have fun with each other, and I think that's more importantly, that's what it's all about.
All right, Coach, I look forward to seeing you throughout the season. Thanks for your time.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
All right, we move on here on Marooncast from the team that was the runner-up to last year's TOC Manasquan to the TOC champions, and that would be the SJV Lancers, led by head coach Dawn Carpel. They were here at this camp, looking good, of course, with many new faces into the lineup. A lot of these seniors, of course, have moved on. They're all going to play college basketball, and they've left Carpel with, don't want to say, answers in a position that they're not going to be able to find, but still things to work out for this team, and they've worked good so far doing so. Before we really start to break down what SJV has to work with this season, which personally I'm excited about, I do think they have some really good pieces. What are you guys' thoughts on the defending TOC champion, of course, SJV, coming into this camp, what you saw from them and what you're going to see from them come the winter?
Well, Sean, I think St. John Vianney this year is just, they have a lot of talented pieces. I think they're going to be a team that is going to, they're going to mix and match throughout the year. And just like last year, in fact, they have, they have a situation where they can, put multiple players at different, at different times of games, and they can see what they really, expect out of each player. And I think that's going to be a big thing heading into the season, that you really have a lot of different combinations that you can put together.
I think you have to remember that even though there's going to be several players who are going to step into new roles this year, players like Abby Anderko, Wiley Kehoe, Julia Ramos and Sarah Carpel both played a lot in the beginning of the season last year while Kelly Campbell and Kelly Crouch were injured. They're going to step up into the starting lineup, but you have to remember both of those guards played extremely well against Rumson Fairhaven. Sarah also had a tremendous game against Manasquan. It was really her free throws that helped clinch the first time those two teams played during the regular season. But, the players that are going to step up this year, they got to practice each and every day against one of the best teams in the country, a team that was ranked 9th in the country last year. So they definitely know what it takes to be very competitive. And also remember, you're going to have Kimmy Evans there, who's one of the best centers in the state and a very, very dominant player. So they'll be very tough to stop in the long run.
Yeah, defensively, this team is going to be great. That's my biggest takeaway from this camp and what to watch for, moving forward with them as far as setting your expectations, watching SJV, because they've been good defensively, obviously, under Carpel for years. And, Kimmy Evans has helped that, and, Gigi Caponegro was here last year, so he was a great defender. But I was covering an early morning game here against Toms River North, who, a team that has great ball movement. We're going to talk about them later and say a lot of good things about that team. But I was watching a game against TRN, and TRN's trying to do all these things offensively, and they're moving the ball, getting no looks. And at some point, SJV always just had an answer defensively. They always were there for a big rebound, coming up with a big steal. And they have just so many young players that have a lot of length, a lot of depth on this team. I found myself looking down at the roster book almost every 5 seconds saying, who's that girl that just swatted a pass out of bounds, freakishly long arms, or was in the perfect position to take a charge or grab a rebound. Defensively, this team is going to be great, and that's what's going to scare some other teams like Manasquan, St. Rose. Any team that has to play SJV, you have to say, your first question to try to beat them is how are we going to score against them. So that's something that we talked about with their coach. Again, Coach Carpel, we actually had a chance to interview her as well, and we're going to give you that here on Marooncast. So we're taking over a break as you hear from SJV Lancers head coach Dawn Carpel, and we'll come back here with Sean Martin, Jim Rosa, and Wydra after that. All right, Coach, it's great to see you and your team back here. Great to see, of course, all the Soar Conference programs that are getting prepared again for another great girls basketball season. Obviously, a lot of new faces on this team from the TOC champions last year, but certainly from what we've seen here on the floor today here in day 3, there's some room for these players to really grow as the season goes on with good coaching and to still make some noise in the Soar and to still be a very good team, of course, with the couple seniors that you do have. Who are you excited about the most as far as watching this year come together, and who are you kind of really watching to be some of your key players that we might not know about yet?
Right. Well, now we have kids that were in last year's TOC championship team that were role players who are now going to be our core players. And the great news is the last 2 weeks we've been playing without Kimmy, so it's really allowing them to grow immensely. So, obviously Kimmy's our big gun, but we're going to look to Ramos is going to be more defined in her role, and we have Maddie Doran who's going to step in, Sarah Carpel who played some last year. Courtney Dobrinsky is going to be kind of our leader on the floor and our general. She's like a point forward, just knows how to play, knows how to get the ball. Sarah Furch, and we have Reelan Bellamy and Sajada Bonner. So, basically we can roll with another 10 or so and not have much of a drop-off. Abby Anderko, Riley Kehoe returning as well, seniors that we've had in the program throughout. So, that's who we had in Best of Maryland outside of Kimmy, and we did it really well against a strong, talented pool. And, there's not much of a drop. They all play really hard.
Yeah, I had a chance to talk to Dobrinsky here today a little bit earlier. She said she was really particularly excited about on the defensive end of things for this team, how things can come together with her own development. How good can this team be defensively when Kimmy Evans is out there and everyone else that we saw today with her?
We're going to be really, really different than we were last year. We have so many different looks and a lot of athleticism and a lot of matchups that we can create on the offensive end and more importantly on the defensive end. So we are going to defend really well, and that is going to be a given. And we have some versatility too. So what we did last year, kind of because we were a smaller team last year, with Vanessa and Tina out there a lot. This year we're going to have a lot of length and a lot of long kids, athletic kids that not just on the defensive end that are going to be tough on the offensive end and on the glass as well.
Yeah, how much do you look forward to that challenge of last year the goal was high expectations, managing that with this group of seniors that kind of, wanted those expectations brought upon themselves and wanted to play in the big games that they did and win all of them like they did as well. How much do you look forward to kind of turning the page and now this year having to develop a new team kind of and, having to drive these players to see the best in themselves and to get the best out of them?
Well, you know what? We have five more seniors this year. So they've been here for 3 years, and they've been not waiting their turn, but they've learned a lot, and they battled against those great players that left every single day. So they're just ready to step in. Their experience, or I said lack of experience, is probably our biggest piece. So our upside compared to a lot of the other top dogs around here is far greater, because once we gain that experience, we're going to have the athleticism to compete with the top teams around.
Coach, you talked a lot about playing without Kimmy Evans at this part, but are you just really still fascinated and just, going into this year, how well she was able to play her first 2 years and now adjusting to a new set of players, as you mentioned, on the floor for the majority of, the majority of minutes?
Who's that, Kimmy?
Kimmy, yeah.
Yeah, you know what, she's out playing the Nike circuit and playing big-time basketball, so when she comes back to us, that's only going to help her game with us. And, our kids have been with her three years. They're going into the fourth year. The seniors, they know how to get her the ball. I'm not worried about that, so that's going to be something that we're not going to have to teach or develop. They know. They've been there. They know how to do it. And, so I'm just excited about what she brings and how much more balanced she's going to make our team when we do get her back in the lineup with us.
Lastly, just a little bit about this camp overall. I think this camp is a little bit, underrated around the Shore for a lot of people. They don't really exactly know how well this, how this prepares the players. For you, coaching as long as you have, what does this camp bring to especially your younger players, and how does it, generate a positive feeling of basketball before the season even gets going so early?
Yeah, it was good just to get some of my younger kids, some freshmen, sophomores that played a little junior varsity or incoming kids out there, get them a run, let them go a little bit against some varsity experience, varsity teams, and that's only going to help us when we get back to practice during the season, because now they kind of see what the intensity is on that level. And I left them out there at the end of Toms River North game against their varsity just to taste it, just to understand what that intensity level is and what it comes. Yeah, and then the last 2 overtimes I threw the older kids back in, but I had the younger kids out there because I just want them to feel that intensity and understand it, because that's only going to help them grow that much more.
Well, Coach, as always, thank you, and we appreciate your time. Thank you.
Welcome back here. Of course, when we started this segment here about SJV here on Marooncast on NJSportsReport.com, we mentioned last year's group of seniors. You don't want to forget that this year's team, of course, has juniors that were on that team last year as either role players or even starters, like now senior Kimmy Evans, who we already talked about. There's still some quality seniors on this team. I want to talk a little bit about guys, how those players are going to lead the team. You always hear coaches and seniors talk about, the expectations that seniors are going to be good coaches on the floor and do all these great things. You need good seniors to be successful in the Seward Conference, basically what I'm getting at. And SJV, I think, has a pretty good group. They're not last year's group, we know that, but Courtney Dobrzinski, Julia Ramos, and Kimmy Evans make up a pretty good big three of seniors that I think are really going to lead this team to some surprising places.
Sean, we saw so much from, of course, Kimmy over, the last couple years, and we saw a lot from Julia last year. And as we just, as Coach Carpel said, Kimmy Evans isn't afraid of anything. She's willing to just go out there and play her role. So even though she has a new supporting cast to an extent this year, she's still, going to be one of, the most efficient players in the Shore Conference.
And once again, Courtney Dobrzinski was a player as a sophomore who was basically thrown right into the fire by Dawn Carpel and had to really go through the wars. She played in some really tough games in the SCT semifinals against Manasquan and the state championship game against IHA. Last year she played a different role. She came off the bench, but she was still able to provide excellent depth. And, she's grown quite a bit over the past year and a half too, so she's also added some real strength to the forward position. She was already a pretty good shooter and a pretty good player facing the basket. Now she'll be able to also provide more of a presence in the paint too, so she'll definitely be strong for them.
Speaking of Dobrzinski, wasn't playing here today, but with her team, with the Lancers here in the gym at Red Bank Regional. I had a chance to talk to her as well, so we'll once again play you that interview as we'll get through a number of great interviews and things throughout the show here. So our latest comes from SJV senior Courtney Dobrzinski. Enjoy. All right, Courtney, good to see all these teams, of course, in SJV back in the gym, getting back in the swing of Shore Conference girls basketball. Obviously, a lot of new faces around this team, with you being one of the seniors still from last year's team, last year's TOC champion team. You got a double overtime there against Toms River North that you got to watch, your team play through. What are some of your thoughts as far as how things are shaping up for this upcoming season?
I think it's really good how our team chemistry has been building the past couple of weeks playing together in practice, and just coming out of Best of Maryland, I've really been seeing a lot of potential with our team, and I feel like our length is going to bother a lot of people. We have a lot of different diverse girls who can guard everybody, play different roles on offense, defense, so I think it's going to be a really good year for us.
Yeah, that was something I was going to mention. My next question, that Best of Maryland tournament. Just seeing another short conference team like St. Rose go on to win that, obviously, it shows how competitive this conference is, and that's what obviously your team and all these other teams thrive off of. It's what your coach Carpel, always talks about, how you want to stay competitive against other great teams. Just seeing how successful the Shore is, not only in that tournament, here on the floor against each other in a camp like this. Does that motivate you even more to, as a team, to say, we know we won it last year and teams are kind of discrediting us a bit this year, but we still want to set high expectations for ourselves?
Yeah, definitely. St. Rose is a great team, and congratulations to them winning the whole thing in Best of Maryland. That's awesome. But it's definitely pushes us to work harder in practice. We really wanted to see that matchup in Best of Maryland, but unfortunately we just lost to that last team, and we couldn't get there. But it's definitely something that will help us in the future in practice to help us focus more and work harder.
Yeah, you mentioned all the young players on this SAV team trying to find roles and defensively trying to figure things out. Is you look good against TRN on that side of the floor for sure. Sometimes for a young team, obviously that becomes difficult trying to fit everybody in over time. It's obviously something to watch as the season goes on. As a senior on this team, how do you think your role can kind of help everybody else fit into place, and how are you going to kind of define where you're going to be for this team to kind of help everyone else figure out what they're going to be doing and help everybody else settle into playing their best basketball?
We have a couple seniors this year, so me, myself, including myself, we're trying to show a lot of leadership on the defensive end, and especially in practice, telling the girls how we should defend, how we should run plays, how we should think everything through. It's really about how we communicate with the younger girls, telling them, coaching them what we know what coach wants to be done. So I think with our experience, we should be able to help the younger girls with what we need to get done.
Offensively, what have you been working on, in your game personally? And what's that kind of next step on the offensive floor that you want to take this year and then take into college, obviously?
I've been working on my shot a lot, pull-ups, my post game as well. I've grown a little bit the past year, so I'm now like a 6-foot guard, which helps me with my post game. So I'm working on my post moves, and definitely my shot. My AU coach, Mary Beth Chambers, has really been helping me with my shot recently. So I've been working on my threes, my pull-ups, and dishing around the rim.
It'll be definitely great to see you back out there. Great to see SJV here at the Maroon and White camp. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Back here at Red Bank Regional High School, so I'm Martin, Jim Rosa, Wydra, NJSportsReport.com, Marooncast. Make sure you're following us over on Twitter. We are at NJSportsReport to get all of our Maroon and White coverage from the past couple of days, not just this podcast here, but you can find all of our analysis from these guys here with me and the articles and all of that. So make sure you're heading over there and following that as we move on from SJV to our next team. That would be St. Rose, who have just won the Best of Maryland tournament, a very impressive win for them here. They came down today after winning it and played a game against Southern. So, we didn't get a great look at them at this camp, of course, but we can still talk about our expectations for this team based on, what they did in Maryland and what they did last year and what we think is going to happen with St. Rose. You had an interview, Jim, with Jen Oro. We're going to throw to that in a little while. But before we get to Oro, your thoughts overall, guys, on St. Rose coming into this next season?
I think St. Rose is going to be very, very strong this year. I mean, the first thing you have to talk about is they have an excellent senior leader in Jen Oro, who's going to be in her third year as a starting player. The entire starting lineup is back for the Roses, with Elizabeth Marsicano and Lucy Thomas on the inside, and then Michaela Markham and Ellen Stahl shooting from the outside. And I know from Jim, when we went to St. Rose's practice last year during the preseason, we got a real first look at how they practice and how many shots that these kids take. I mean, they can shoot sometimes up to 500-600 threes a day, and it's no wonder why they've been the best three-point shooting team in the state over the past 2 years.
Ryan, I would agree. This team is one of the hardest practicing teams you see out there. And, when you talk about St. Rose, you even see today they go down, they win the Best of Maryland tournament, and they're just getting production from everybody, whether it's, it's Ellen Stoll or you talk about Lucy Thomas. We see she's just right there. If you want to talk about players that are right there, always ready to, take a pass and finish the play. That's she's one of those players. So when it comes to St. Rose, there's no doubt about it that, Coach Whalen is already having these girls ready to play, and they're going to come out there and they're just going to play their hardest. And this is a team that we can expect a lot from this year.
Yeah, the thing you love about St. Rose, they always play their style of basketball. They don't let anybody else, especially that's especially important based on who the top teams are in the SOAR right now, teams we already talked about. Think about how Manasquan wants to play. Think about how SJV wants to play. Think about how Rumson, wanted to play and how they're going to want to continue to play. Those are teams that thrive on making you uncomfortable. They throw the full court press at times. They, attack you with so many different angles offensively. St. Rose doesn't get rattled by any of that, and that's obviously a big credit to Whalen, who we've talked to and who you mentioned as being a great coach, and he certainly is one of the best coaches we have right here in this conference. But St. Rose, they always look so calm. They run their offense, to a T almost every time. They plug in players when they need to. Like you said, Oro moves on. They still have Jen here, of course, who I said that we all get a photo of her interview in just a couple of seconds here. But you have Lucy Thomas who can fill in and develop into this offense very well. So, St. Rose is always a team, obviously, to keep an eye on because they are so consistent and they do work so hard. So they're going to be a fun to watch, as always. So here is, once again, Jim Rosa talking with Jen Oro a little bit earlier today here on day 3 of the Maroon and White Girls Basketball Camp. Jen Oro, St. Rose.
So, Jen, obviously, this is where everything starts. It's Maroon and White Camp. You guys are really just trying to work on your skills here. Coming into this camp, getting to play on day 3, how are you guys feeling coming in here and just, what are you guys trying to work on today?
We're feeling great. We just got home last night from the Best of Maryland and we were very successful. We won the whole thing. That was like 3 years in the making. We really have been playing really well this summer. We've been playing really well as a team and it's been working for us. So we're here today and we're just going to look to do the same thing we've been doing all summer and play as a team, play together.
As you mentioned, the last couple of years, you guys have really bonded well as a team. You've grown, you really matured, and really a lot of steps to where you guys want to be this year. What things can you do this year to really play your best basketball, and what things can you take away here to translate, into a winning season like you guys have always been able to do the last few years?
Each year we get older and we get better, so it just comes with maturity, and we work every day, like all year round. So we can always count on each other to work hard, and we always have each other's backs. So we're really looking forward to this season.
Yeah, you talked a little bit about the Best of Maryland. How does something like that, when you guys are working, really hard right from last season's off season to now, and even till today, how does that really translate to what Coach Whalen's message is? Just keep working hard throughout the year and make sure you put everything into every single day.
It really translates into to everything. Really, I mean. We never let up. We always work hard. We never stop working. And the win in Best Maryland was a result of, how we practice and how we play.
Talk a little bit about Lucy Thomas being here now, what she was able to do last season, and how this year, her fully healthy and everything, how her and you, as well as, Michaela Markham, how you guys can all be those pivotal scorers that we've seen the last couple of years and now just even older.
She came to us last summer, actually. It was our first year playing AAU together, and just her being coached over the summer by Coach Whalen, she grew into a much better player. I mean, she was a phenomenon at Ocean, and she couldn't even really shoot a 3. I mean, now she's unstoppable. Like, she's so hard to guard because she's so good inside and she's great outside. And, she's really, really helped us a lot. She's great. Like, she's awesome. And Michaela, too. We're so happy to have both of them at St. Rose. They're both very good. Michaela really knows what she's doing. She's really handling the ball. She handles the pressure well. So it's really good. I mean, even Lovin and Ellen, too. And even everybody on the bench. Like, we all work very well together. And everyone is a big part of the team. No one's bigger than someone else. We're all equally the same and great together.
We saw what your sister did her senior year. What have you learned from her? And obviously you two played together for that stretch. And now, now you're the leader here. It's your time to shine and for this team, and it's just, how does it feel to be able to come out here and you saw what she was able to do, and now you get to pave that path and you're here.
Yeah, I mean, I've learned everything from her. She's taught me so much. She was a great team leader, and I look up to her, and I'm ready to lead my team now, and we're ready to go win everything. We're really excited about this season, so I'm looking forward to it. We're not going to let up on anyone, so we're just going to keep pushing all season long and really get ready.
What do you look forward to with your game against Southern Regional today?
We just look forward to playing together as a team, really just getting it done, playing the best that we can play.
All right, well, thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right, we move on from St. Rose as we come back here on Marooncast, presented by Current Recovery on NJSportsReport.com. We move to another one of the private schools. That would be Donovan Catholic, and this is a team, guys, that we've seen these past couple of days here at camp that I am personally very excited for. I think you guys will have some good things to say about them as well, and we'll throw to some audio of their head coach and Jerry Bruno. We'll get to that in a couple minutes, but we need to spend some time just talking about how impressive this team was on the floor here against top Shore Conference competition, which is what this camp is all about. Of course, this is a team, a lot of depth, an offense that, once again, we just talked about St. Rose playing a simple offense, not letting teams affect what they want to run. Donovan under Bruno the same way. They can get shooters open, and this year, no shortage of those shooters. Players like Buxton, Hosey, and freshman, Molly Roth. So they have, a number of players that are going to be able to step up and really come together. And as the season goes on for Donovan Catholic, I think this is going to be a very good team, and I think they're really going to surprise a lot of people, not only in B-South. You mentioned that being a division with teams like Point Borough, Manchester, where it's always competitive, and these teams are trying to jump over each other and compete for showing that they're the best team, or they're the team that's in the best position moving forward. I think Donovan can even step outside this division and prove to some of these top teams in the show that we opened the show with that they're not going to be fun to play, especially in that building there at Donovan. This is a very good team, guys. They could even get a lot better, but they proved already here in just 3 short days at a summer camp that they need to be taken seriously.
Oh, they're going to be very good, Sean, for sure. I mean, you mentioned it yourself that Donovan has always been a very solid team. They've been Class B South champions for the past 3 years. Shared the title with 2 other teams this past year, but they just really have a loaded lineup. I think that's going to give them a very good chance to be very competitive this year. Junior Molly Collins has already been a 2-year starter since she was a freshman. She's got excellent floor vision, can really make some great plays up and down the court. She's an excellent shooter. Then you look at another player like Alyssa Hershey, which can play the 3 or the 2 position. And like you mentioned, the freshman class coming up, you have a guard, Paige Slavin, who was very good here at the Maroon and White camp, was a very good defensive player. And as you mentioned, Maddie Roth, who was another good player. And, Melissa Buxton, we remember the game against Point Borough last year where she had the game winner in overtime. She was a transfer from Lacey, and she really added to Donovan Catholic's depth. So I think the main thing for Donovan is going to be consistency this year. They've always been very, very good in Class B South. Can they really take that next step, and can they get to the point where they can crack the top 10 in the Shore Conference? I think with this roster, Jerry Bruno's team is a very good shot.
Sean, definitely when, I agree with Ryan, when you talk about consistency, that's going to be the major thing. You have a roster that, we see this, it's a common theme in high school sports. You get a roster and you have to build it up over the years, and this is what's happening with Donovan Catholic. I think they have players now where they feel like, they can build around now and build around for their future.
Yeah, I was impressed by just the overall confidence of this team. That's something we're going to talk about with some of these teams that we have coming up next in the lineup here on the show, as far as young teams, that something you obviously need to check off as far as, progress and getting better as a team with these coaches and these players is confidence. I didn't think that this team really struggled as a group to play with a lot of confidence, and that's something that, Jerry Bruno, again, was very happy with, and he has some of his own high expectations that you guys have as well for this team. So with that, let's get over to the head coach of the Donovan Catholic Griffins. That would be Dr. Jerry Bruno. We talked to him here at Maroon and White. Here he is on Marooncast.
Coach, it's good to be back in this, in this camp. It's great for all these players to get some, some more experience under their belt. Mm-hmm. And for you personally, you got, you just have a team that is willing to just get back on the court, fight. And I know you always tell your team just, hey, keep on grinding. And this is the time of year to start. How are you guys really just getting back out there, just starting a new season, which really you could say starts now.
Well, truthfully, we haven't had our whole team in any practice or any game or the entire summer.
Yeah.
We have 14 girls on our varsity.
Right.
They're each on, I think, 3 or 4 different AAU teams. You throw in vacations and work schedules.
Oh, yeah.
So, and even today, when you opened up against Marlboro, a real good Marlboro team, we didn't have 2 of my starters here because they're in AAU tournaments. But I like what I see so far. We were in the Hoop Group League in the summer. We went 7-1. I was really happy with the girls. We have some new girls on the team. It takes a while to learn an offense. They learn how. We have a couple of transfers in. And I think we're going to be a really solid team once we learn how to play together as a team. I'm really excited, looking forward to it.
You know, the game I was watching over there for you guys, I saw Molly Collins had a big shot, and you know, throughout the last couple of years, she's really been big for you and establishing a even bigger role this year. How important is she for you guys coming into this year, really, to carry you guys?
Listen, Molly's the point guard. Everything's going to be going right through Molly. Molly's got to make good decisions.
Yeah.
She's got to know when to pull up, take the J. She's got to know what type of finishing move to make. And at times when she gets into the paint, she's got to know when to kick it for the open shooter. She's always been a real good defensive player. Everything starts with Molly. And she knows that she's not the only good shooter on our team. We have quite a few this year. So I think if Molly gets to the point where she recognizes her own leadership abilities and knows how good she can make other players, then I think we're going to go really far this year.
Yeah, how important is it coming here, getting a chance to play, a lot of different competition in a very, in a very fast-paced environment like this?
It's great because I specifically asked Jimmy Young, who runs the great tournament here, to make sure we play teams that we don't normally play. Right. So and that's exactly what we're doing. We don't play Roselle, we don't play Marlboro, we don't play Rumson.
Right.
So it gives me an opportunity to see how my girls react to different defenses, and also gives the girls an opportunity to learn how to play with each other. And I said to the girls yesterday at practice and before this game today, it gives me an opportunity to learn what girls work better with what girls in certain situations. So it's a learning experience not only for me, but for the girls as well.
Yeah, this is a team that's always seemed to come together and kind of play their best team basketball as the season goes on, and picks up some surprising wins and has come together to play well offensively, particularly in this camp here. What are you going to be looking for to kind of get that going, like you said, now that you're all together for the first time, as far as improvements from day 1 to day 2 and then into the final day?
Well, we run a very simple pick and roll offense, and everybody knows that everybody's moving at the same time. If everybody's standing still, somebody's doing something wrong. We have a few new girls in the program. We have a girl who's first time ever trained in the United States. She's from Lithuania. She's a freshman, 6-foot girl, can play 1 through 5. She can play any position. I have a very good transfer from Long Branch, Angelique Gathers, who's really been at one practice because she just transferred in. In the past, most of my teams, we start off steady and slow, but we pick up momentum because we learn how to play together as a team. And it all starts with Molly at the point. I have 2 tremendous junior shooters with Buxton and Hershey. Both led the team in scoring last year with 13 points a game. I'm looking forward to a very, very good season. I expect good things with this team.
The veterans you just mentioned, what have they've been saying about kind of the expectations for this team and their excitement level for playing with all those other players that you mentioned, knowing that it could come together to be something special, like you said?
That's a great question because last week we played Elizabeth at Hoop Group, followed by Manchester, our B-South rival. We took care of Elizabeth in truly a team fashion. But when we beat Manchester, we were down 20-10 with 3 minutes to go at Hoop Group, and all of a sudden, boom, 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 3 threes out, and now we win by 1, 27-26 at the buzzer. So after the game, my seniors, my juniors, because I'm pretty much a junior dominant team, said to me, Coach, we can be scary good if we put our mind to it. So when you have that kind of junior leadership saying that, and I have one really, really good senior who is always on the juniors and the underclass in this case about what coach wants to do, how he wants to do it, how we present ourselves in practice, how we present ourselves in the classroom. I'm really looking forward to a great season.
Right, we're back here, moved on past Donovan Catholic to a team that's certainly good to see here, like all these teams here at Maroon and White, and that would be Tom Brennan's Middletown South Eagles program. And obviously great to see Tom back with his team, back here in the gym where he loves to be with his players, and with another year of some expectations for Mid-South where they might drop off a little bit, but obviously he's out here in a summer camp like this to prove that that's not going to be the case. We know what the storylines are for Middletown South. We're talking about them here. Once again, Saul Martin with Jim Rosa, Ryan Wydra with you on Marooncast. Stephanie Carr's no longer with this team over at Loyola, where we know she'll do some big things to represent the SOAR as a college athlete now. Mid-South still a team that wants to move on and be consistent. They have a lot of young players that Brennan is hoping can find roles once again and play well on the defensive end where Middletown South has thrived under him. You still have his daughter, Iowa Brennan, who's going to be in another year now, has the experience as a freshman. We're going to get to an interview with her as well, actually. But the thing that can impress you about Iowa as the season goes on is that even as a sophomore, she was with this team that won a sectional championship and went through so much to get it as a freshman, so even though she's just a sophomore, she can really help that image that this team wants to maintain as far as this is what we need to be. And then they have some other names as well, of course, that you guys will talk about that are trying to keep Middletown South on the map here, keep them relevant and compete once again. It all started here at the summer camp where they looked pretty good. Obviously, some things to work out. They suffered a loss in their first game to Pascack Valley that made people notice, that program that we don't get to see very often. But Middletown South will figure things out.
Well, Sean, there's no question that this Middletown South team can still be very good this year. And one of the players that, we got a chance to talk to in this camp, currently recovering from an injury, is Haley DeLonzo. She's going to have, she's going to have a lot of time to get back on this court. She said by September she should be, really just back to, hopefully back to her old self, and hopefully that she can help this team along with Alexandra Balsamo, who we both know are, both of them are great scorers. They're going to be able to lead this team, and really they're going to be able to help this team get back on track and have another great year under Coach Tom Brennan.
Yeah, it was good to see DeLonzo back out there. You mentioned that her recovery process that we have over there on the site. Just to mention that again, we have some footage from her working out over here at Maroon and White, which is good to see, working out in front of some coaches, working with Brennan, and her fellow players here as well. So, she was healthy enough to be able to do that with no fear to come out on the floor here and work out. So that was obviously a good sign as we hope for the best with this program. And once again, we do have some practice footage from her right there on the homepage of the site. You can check that out, NJSportsReport.com, as always. And then with that, we have an interview with her. So you can check that out. But continuing to talk about Middletown South, Ryan, I know you've closely followed this team as well. Your thoughts on where this program's going in year one after Stephanie Carr's?
Well, this was really a big step with the team coming out to Maroon and White here, especially for a lot of the young players that Tom Brennan has. Anytime you have a player like Stephanie Carr's, the offense just completely goes through her, and she took a large percentage of the shots last year, and not only that, but made a lot of the plays too, with her court vision, being able to find her teammates. So it's going to be a matter of, mixing and matching, developing different roles for players. But two of the bigs that were really impressive here in Maroon and White were both Eve Peary and Gabrielle Cook. They played very well in the paint. They were strong on the offensive and defensive glass. Sam Keenan's another player who will be coming into her own. She's going to be a sophomore this year. She's a good defensive player, excellent shooter. She's definitely going to get a lot better. And, of course, like you talked about, Haley DeLonzo is a big-time player in her return. She's going to have to really step up and be a leader this year, along with Alexandra Balsamo, who was a second-team All-Shore player last year. So the two of them are really going to be counted on for their leadership with the younger players.
Yeah, Keenan and Peary were two players that, I think it might be a little bit rough at them at first, adjusting to SOAR Conference basketball, the physicality under the rim, the physicality you're going to see every single night playing a good team after a good team. But once they get that valuable experience under their belt, and once they, learn to grow from it and learn to take positives away from the games that they're going to have, this definitely could be a team that really comes together. And that's a similar thought to, what Tom Brennan wants to see in this team this year. He gave Jim and I a couple minutes back on day one, so we're going to give that to you here on Marooncast, once again presented by Current Recovery on NJSportsReport.com. Here is the head coach of the Middletown South Eagles, that is Tom Brennan. Well, Coach, obviously good to be back underway here at Maroon and White Camp. Basketball action back underway for the summer here. It's always exciting, of course, to see familiar teams that you've gotten used to seeing here, see some new faces, and to get everybody back into the swing of things. You have one game under your belt now with Middletown South. Just what were your first impressions of seeing your team out here on the floor with some young faces coming together pretty well against Pascack Valley? Obviously, you didn't win the game on the scoreboard, but I thought there were some positive things that you certainly took away.
Yeah, the youth that definitely showed us some things. We got a lot of kids that are injured and some kids that are still at some AAU tournaments, so you get a chance to look at some kids that maybe you would not have the opportunity to do. So we saw some things that we definitely liked, and James does such a good job of organizing this thing and getting different teams in. It was great to play a team like Pascack Valley that has such a rich history of winning, and their organization is so good. So it's good on a lot of levels. Just to get in the gym again with my team, but then to play somebody we haven't seen 1,000 times was good too.
Yeah, defensively, it always seemed like Pascack Valley was able to figure things out as the game went on against you. Obviously, this is a team that's prided itself on defense, over the past couple of years, and this will now be your first year in a while, without Steph Carr's out there on the floor. How was, defensively, obviously we know how much he meant to the team. How was kind of keeping that message the same, while, considering since you're still here and a lot of the same cast of players are still here, how was keeping that kind of defensive presence with this team been, even though she's not out there?
Yeah, well, from a press offense standpoint, Pascack really exposed quite a bit. They were relentless, and that's kind of a word we're going to have to incorporate into what we want to do as well. We did not rebound well, and that's something that for 20 years we've always done. And it's July, so we're not going to hit the panic button now. But one of the beautiful things about being able to come to this event is that you get to see what things you need to work on, so you're not going in cold in November. You jot down some notes and put some asterisks next to some things, and rebounding will definitely be one of those things that will have many asterisks next to it.
Right, it seemed like that's definitely an area where the younger players are going to be developing in that area, specifically rebounding with players like Eve Peary and Balsamo as well, being able to crash the glass and get after it. As far as Eve Peary goes, obviously she's a player that could see herself in a bigger role this year. What do you expect to see from her this year going forward, and even in this camp, as she gets better playing against this competition?
Eve's going to be, she's got to be a central point of things of what we're trying to accomplish on the offensive end, but I think an even bigger presence on the defensive end. She's got to be a much more physical player. I think all of our younger kids are struggling with speed and strength of the game. It's something we talk about all the time, and watching Alexandra, I remember when she was a freshman in this gym 4 years ago, and now she's just dominating, both with quickness, speed, physicality, everything. And that's something that a player like Eve is going to have to bring into her repertoire as well. The younger kids, whether it's fair or it's unfair, we're going to rely on them, and they're going to have to respond by rising to the challenge of accepting that speed and strength issue.
You have anything to
Coach, a lot of people talk about just how great this camp is, having a camp like this in the Shore Conference for you guys to work on. You play Pascack Valley, now you're going to play a team in Monsignor McClancy who you really don't see too often. How important is this camp for your team when you talk about those younger players and just developing a role, and players like Alexandra just to say, hey, look, this is a big camp for us. This is a camp that you guys really have to take seriously. What do you tell them in that regards?
James has done such a good job. He's got a vision of what he wants this camp to be, and it's such a good environment for high school teams. It's similar to an AAU event, but it's much smaller. It's much more intimate, and it does give the high school coach a chance to indoctrinate or kind of incorporate some of his philosophy into the new kids coming in. And I think it also gives the older kids like an Alexandra a chance to put a stamp on their leadership. Haley DeLonzo, who's not playing but clearly is here. She's going to be doing a workout on the other side of the gym in a little bit, just to show the younger kids how committed you have to be to not just perform, but to perform well in a conference that has the caliber of teams that the Shore Conference has.
What do you really look for in a camp like this when you're playing multiple games against different teams? It could be tough for players, especially in the summertime where, they're playing basketball, but just not maybe at as, full speed as they would normally in the season.
Right. We did today, believe it or not, well, if you saw us play, you'd believe it. Today was the first day we had everybody playing.
Right,
we weren't together at all summer because kids were all over the place. So I'm looking for instinctual stuff. How well do you step into a passing lane? Do you catch it and do something positive, aggressive with it, or are you kind of passive? So we're looking for little tendencies like that. How well do you gap defend? But other than that, we're also looking for, out of the experienced kids, how quickly are they accepting the new kids? Are they being coaches on the floor? Are they taking a responsibility as much as just being a player as being a teammate too? So we're looking for a lot of little things, and that's the nice thing. You can look at all these things and say it's just July.
Yep. Well, thank you, Coach. We appreciate it. Thanks.
So once again, there, the head coach for Middletown South, Tom Brennan, his daughter getting ready to enter her sophomore season with this team. She also talked to us for a few minutes here at Maroon and White, so we're going to move on from the head coach to the head coach's daughter, Iowa Brennan, sophomore guard for the Middletown South Eagles. Joins us now on Marooncast. You'll hear her interview, and then we'll come back and start to get into some other teams, start to wrap things up as we move forward. Here on Marooncast, NJSportsReport.com, here is Iowa Brennan.
So you guys got through, 2 games here today. It was a pretty, you're going to be playing your second game. You got through your first game. How's everything with the team so far? You guys are trying to get adjusted to life without Steph and everything. And, Coach Brennan's very optimistic of what you guys were able to show so far. But how do you feel, and how is playing with the rest of your team coming so far this summer and in this camp?
I mean, we're going to be pretty young this year. We have a lot of sophomores coming in, and right now we only have Alexandra because Haley's still out. So I'm pretty happy with the way that we've played and the way that the team's bonding together right now. So that's what's more important to us, is that we figure out how to work together, not about winning the games, but more about how we can be more of a unit this year.
Looking forward to the second game today against Monsignor McClancy there. It's a team you guys don't always see. How do you guys really prepare for a game like that, whether it's, even in the regular season or whether it's in a camp like this in the middle of the summer?
Well, we know they're going to be pretty big. So,
that's what I've heard.
I think for that game, we're going to have to use a lot of our speed and just a lot of cutting to get the ball around quickly so that we don't have to worry about any shot blocking or anything like that. So.
In general, what do you take away from this camp, and how does it help you as a player grow and really expand your skills?
Well, for this camp, for us, it's obviously good when you have a lot of colleges here, but for this camp, we like to use this as a way to get everyone closer as a group so we can create that family atmosphere that we're known for in the Shore, and also figure out how we want to play with each other this year and years to come.
Personally for you, do you have a different mind frame coming into this year than you did last year?
Well, I'm definitely more confident because now I know what I'm going up against. So I think that helps me to have more of a leadership role, and I try to help out my teammates more because I know what's going on around us.
Yeah, you mentioned being a young team this year, and you were along for the ride last year. How do you think you can translate, what you learned last year and now, obviously, just a sophomore, like you said, that's a big class that you guys have on this team, but a sophomore that's been through a lot of this team and saw what you guys were able to do last year with the experience that you got by winning the state title and all that. How are you going to be able to bring that element again to this team on the floor this year?
Well, for us, losing Stephanie Cars is a huge element, but coming into this year, I think we're going to be stronger as a group because we don't have someone as talented as she was who could just take the ball to the hoop and it was fine. So this year, I think our goals, again, are going to be staying closer together and playing more as a group than single-handedly.
Yeah, and you mentioned the offensive contributions that Steph brought to this team last year. I talked to your coach about the defensive contributions that she obviously made as a team last year. But offensively, sticking with that, in your own game, what's something that you're trying to add this year offensively as you continue to develop as an offensive player? I think, the 3-point shot you've been more and more comfortable with as towards the end of the year and then into the beginning of this camp. But what's something, as the year goes on, that you want to be able to add to your offensive, game?
For me, shooting is something that I think has always been my go-to, at least last year it definitely was. So this year I'm looking to more figure out how to score inside and have different types of finishes so that I can contribute that way as well.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So there with Tom Brennan, Iowa Brennan, and our crew here with NJSR, Ryan Wydra and Jim Rosa with me, Saul Martin. We got through Middletown South. We'll go take the short trip across town, talk about a little bit about Middletown North. Had a chance to see them here, of course, as well. Ryan, some of your thoughts as we start with you here on that program, what you saw from them, what to expect.
I think Coach Ed Jones is going to be really excited about this team coming forward because you have a mix of some key veterans and a mix of some younger players coming up. Haley Howard has really been the focal point of that team over the past 2 years. She's already scored over 1,000 points for her high school career. She's a very good player, plays good defense. She's very good in the post, can do a lot of different things for you, and she's a good leader. Add in both Williams sisters, Kamani and Kiera. They were big offensive weapons for the Lions last year, and Danny Talefson is also another player to look out for. The Lions are coming off a 16-9 year, and they would really like to take another step this year and possibly win a few playoff games and make a run.
And speaking of Haley Howard, we had an interview with her, or Jim Rosa was able to talk with him. So Jim, let's play that audio here from Howard and Middletown North. We'll get you that, and then we'll come back here once again on Marooncast, NJSportsReport.com.
So, of course, it's great to be back with basketball here in the summertime, really starting, the beginning of a fresh new year. For yourself, you just achieved 1,000 points last year. You got a team that, has a lot of talent, a team that you think can do some good things this year. What progressions have you guys made so far in this camp after, playing some close games today?
Yeah, I don't know. We're a young team, a lot of young kids, a lot of new bodies in there with us. Mm-hmm. But, we're doing good for what we have. And we're, of course, missing Kamani, but hopefully to get her back this season would make a big, help for us to succeed.
What adjustments can you guys make in a camp like this when you're facing a lot of competition that you're going to see again, and maybe some competition that you won't see so often, especially in a tough division that you guys are in this, for this upcoming season?
Yeah, defense is going to be key this year for us, and scoring. Mm-hmm. Running our offenses is going to help us a lot, and strong defense, because we're not a big team. We're all small. We only have a couple big guards, so it's going to help us out.
From one of the big faces of Middletown North, everyone talks a lot about Middletown South and what they're able to accomplish. How are you guys able to respond with that, and how are you guys hoping to really make some noise throughout the entire season this year and be a consistent team like they've been able to be throughout the last couple of years?
We're just going to have to get some big wins this year because we're in a new division and it's going to be hard, but getting some big wins is going to show that we can compete with any team in our league.
And what is Coach's message so far in this camp? How has he been really, focusing on the things that you've talked about, playing good defense, great opportunities and getting good looks at the basket here, even, in the summertime when the season's still, quite a few months away?
He just wants us to play good defense, like I said, and score as much as possible and get everybody involved, everybody touch the ball, and that helps us, reversing the ball helps us a lot, stuff like that.
Personally for you now, what do you feel about this camp after a couple years of playing in it? You see how this can really help a player, for yourself and for everyone else. What do you think, as far as, teaching the younger players on your team about how great it is to really be able to be part of a camp like this and to really just be able to spend this time adjusting to, other players and, just figuring out what type of player you are as well, or they are, I should say.
Yeah, he always has good competition here, so when we play them, it shows that we have to work harder than them and to get wins, because we're not a really strong team this year, but if we work hard, it's going to get us places.
Thank you, Haley. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
We have 4 teams left to get through here on Marooncast, NJSR podcast here from Red Bank Regional High School, breaking down the last 3 days of Shore Conference girls basketball action for the Maroon and White War at the Shore Camp. So Martin of Jim Rosa and Wydra as we move into a team that is certainly going to look a lot different as we see the Rumson Fairhaven Bulldogs for the first time in what feels like forever, especially in the Shore Conference where he made such a name for himself. George Shorless no longer the head coach there at Rumson Fairhaven. It is Dave Callahan, and still a good roster in front of him to put on the floor. Still some good players there for Rumson to work with. I'll give my thoughts after we go around the table here, but let's start with you guys. You saw Rumson. You've been following, of course, like I have for these past couple of years. Every season, they make themselves relevant. New head coach, same pretty talented team on the sidelines. What are we expecting from them? What did you see from them this camp that you liked, and what did you think needs some improvement?
Well, Ryan, I'm sure you would agree with me that Coach Callahan has a lot to be excited about coming into the season. A lot of great shooters, a lot of great players on that team that he's able to take over as the coach for. So, in this camp, we saw a lot of great things from them. We saw aggressiveness, we saw, passion, we saw the team that, RFH, was a couple years ago, just with, older, more matured players now.
I can't tell you how excited Dave Callahan is to take over such a high-caliber program. What else could you expect from a legend in the Shore like George Shorless? And I had a chance to talk to him earlier today. You'll have a chance to hear it on the podcast. And he was just raving about how well his team played down at the Best of Maryland tournament, which we were talking about, St. John Vianney, St. Rose also being down there. Torrey High Duke, guard that's going into her junior year now. Just had a phenomenal tournament down there in Maryland. And she's been a very productive player at the guard position for the past 2 years for Rumson Fairhaven. Hannah Scanlon is another big-time player, coming off an excellent junior year. Had a game winner last year against Manasquan, one of their biggest wins of the season. And other players there, Katie Foos, who's just an excellent perimeter player, has been known for her shooting year in and year out. You know, Michaela McGarvey's another player, spent some time on the injured list last year, but will be back in the lineup. Had a very good camp here at Maroon and White, was really a great asset to the team. And, you know, there's other players that Dave Callahan will be working into the lineup who is really looking for to step up. Phoebe Spurnell being one of them, Ellie Gibney being another player. It's going to be a really exciting future, and Rumson's going to have an excellent chance to compete.
Yeah, I think what excites me about Rumson, I think this is a team that has a chance to have some really great chemistry. I think this is a team that, you mentioned Hannah Scanlon now going into her last year as a senior. That's a player I've always liked. I think, plays the game the right way, gives them a big energy, high energy type of player, and obviously is talented on both ends of the floor, defensively and offensively, for what Rumson wants to do. But I think they could have, great chemistry of her and High Duke developing as a junior, who sets high expectations for herself. And, we saw with Callahan, how he's going to work these guys as far as, chemistry. You need to be playing the right schemes, and you need to be playing the right brand of basketball to get that going. And that's what, of course, George excelled at in his time here. And this team, he seemed to put an emphasis on running the floor, fast break type of offense, and I think that's really going to suit, those players I just talked about, along with Katie Foos, being able to shoot the ball, and this is her senior year. So, yeah, Rumson's definitely an interesting team. They're always, interesting, relevant team to talk about, and this obviously won't be the last that we talk about them, even though they do have a new face there on the sideline. Once again, it is Dave Callahan, and once again, he did talk to our Ryan Wydra here on Day 3, so here is his Day 3 interview here at Maroon and White, here on the NJSR Maroon and White podcast.
Coach, first of all, nice win here over Donovan Catholic here at the Maroon and White camp. First year coming into Rumson, stepping in for a legend like Coach Sorless. How does it feel just taking over such a great program like this?
I feel extremely honored. George is one of the greatest coaches in the history of New Jersey basketball. And the great thing is he left the cupboard full for us. So we have some outstanding players coming back. They all have great attitudes. They've been coached so well for the last 3-4 years. So I'm very lucky to step in this spot and have such a great group of kids and parents.
After spending the last couple years as an assistant coach for the boys team, very successful program that won a Shore Conference championship, what's the biggest difference for you moving over to the girls' side?
Well, it's funny because I have 2 sons. I've never had a daughter. But I was lucky enough to coach an elite travel soccer team about 3 years ago that was all girls. And I fell in love with it. They're actually going to be 8th graders in Rumson now. And I just learned that working with girls is, while different, a lot of it's the same. And the great thing about Rumson Fairhaven kids is they come from very disciplined families. They want to work hard. They want to learn. They want to get better. And having that is half the battle.
You have a solid core of veterans on this team. Junior Tori Hyduke, who's a terrific guard, and Megan Volker, Hannah Scanlon, who are veterans at the forward positions. Katie Foos, who's been awesome as well. How did they respond when you took over the program in preparation?
Well, it was great. They welcomed me with open arms, which was unbelievable. The other one you're forgetting is Michaela McGarvey, who's hurt a lot last year. She's a heck of a player, too. And the 5 of them are just, I'll put them up with any starting 5 in the Shore Conference. We just got back from Best of Maryland tournament, and I had a couple people saying maybe you're not ready for that. We didn't have a lot of practices before we went down there and played, and we really gelled down there, not only in basketball but as a team. And half the battle of being a good coach and having a good program is getting the team to all think as one, and I think we're getting there. We're really working on that.
How much did the team benefit as a whole going down to the Best of Maryland? I know you guys were able to pick up a very huge win over a Wayne team that went all the way to the finals.
It was enough. We kind of showed up. I'm driving down on 95 South, and my thermometer on my car as I'm driving 75 miles an hour says 105 degrees on the dashboard. So we got down there the first day, and first game we got down 10-12-0 from a very talented school from Berlin, Ohio. I think they're the perennial top 10 team. And, I looked at the girls and said, hey, it's put up or shut up time. And we battled back. We actually took a lead late in the second half. We ended up losing on a late run. But the girls are all, I've been reading some stuff about everybody's a little bit tired. Everybody's been playing a lot. But we stepped up, and we were in every single game we played. And the highlight of our week was the win over Wayne of Ohio. They're a very talented team. And Hannah Scanlon and Tori had monster games. So if they're on, Katie Foose is lighting it up from 3 with Michaela and Megan. Again, I'll put our starting 5 up with anybody.
We talked a little bit about the veterans on the team. Who are some players that could really step up this year off your bench that can make a difference?
Well, we have a kind of an interesting mix. As I look back at Rumpson history, and I talked to Coach Sorless, one of the things that really made his program successful was getting crossover athletes, kids that play soccer, kids that play lacrosse. And we have quite a few of those. We got a kid like McKenna McGuire, unbelievable. She's a Division I field hockey kid. She comes on, she gives us great energy and spark on defense. Biz Kelly hits some huge shots down there. Abby Kelly is a tough kid, a rebounder. So we're going to have a great group of role players. I know I'm forgetting a couple that I want to mention here. We got Ellie Gibney, who's kind of the heart and soul of the team. She was the team manager last year. She decided to come out and play, and everybody loves her so much. It just brings everybody else out. We got Anna Brindell, who's a backup point guard, who's a real tough kid. So between that group, there's a lot. And we have 2, 3, 4. A couple of them I haven't really seen yet. But we got Shay Sabino coming into the program, who's just one of the hardest workers I've ever had. We got a freshman who's not here. Her name is Lucy Adams. Tremendous player. She's 6 foot, athletic as can be, runs the floor. And then you saw Sophie Pascalosco hit a big 3 for us today. So the future's bright, and we're building the 6th, 7th, and 8th grade classes coming in too. I'm very excited about them as well.
Again, you got a few kids who have really been through the wars over the last couple years. Go into 2 consecutive Central Group 2 championship games. What are your expectations overall for this year with the solid core and a group of up-and-coming players that you just talked about?
Well, it's funny because as we were down at Best of Maryland, and we're talking, and we get to meet coaches from other states, and they're shocked that the 4 teams that were from New Jersey were all on the same. They couldn't believe that we all played each other. And of course, St. Rose won the tournament. I think St. John Vianney was a semifinalist. Red Bank Catholic and us both made a strong showing down there. So the competition is unbelievable, and that's what I'm learning. Looks like we'll be in Central Jersey Group 2 with Manasquan. Everybody knows how great they are, but we don't back down from anybody, and that's my attitude. I believe we have the best team in the Shore. I believe we have the best team in Central Jersey Group 2. I believe we have the best team in the state, and I'm going to get my kids to believe that, and if they believe that, we can beat anybody.
All right, Dave, again, welcome to the Shore Conference on the girls' side, and it's great to have you. Thanks a lot.
Welcome back here. Once again, today's edition of Marooncast is brought to you by Current Recovery. I mentioned in the open, you can check them out at Belmar, New Jersey, and certainly recommend that you do. You can check out, and Jim can speak to this as well, the Normatec Recovery. Sit down in some nice comfy chairs, check out their compression therapy there, so stop in, definitely check that out, meet some nice people over there. They'll get you everything you need if you're a recovering athlete of any sort, or an athlete trying to get back into the swing of things with your sport. You want to go over there and meet those people down there, so it's definitely a great experience. We move on here on Marooncast. We're talking about what's been considered the best conference in the country, and that's Shore Conference Girls Basketball, this 3-day camp. The next team that we have here to talk about is Freehold Township, and we're going to throw it right to an interview with one of their best players. That would be Haley Porcelli. So let's get to that here on Marooncast. Once again, we're brought to you by Current Recovery. Here is Freehold Township's Haley Porcelli.
I just heard Coach talking about some ball movement you guys had today. You guys really were able to apply a lot of pressure on them throughout the entire game, and seemingly that's what this camp's really good for you guys, to really get, just everybody playing together for the summer and going into the year. How do you guys feel that you guys were able to really just play coming out today?
We've had some good practices coming into this, and we're just trying to get everybody together. The more we play with each other, the more comfortable we'll be. We're trying to just have fun and get ready for the season. Everyone plays different sports, and it's just all about, having fun at the end of the day and getting our business done here and, having fun. That's just what we're main. Sorry, it's really hot in here.
It is. Senior year for you. How does it feel?
It's honestly amazing. After being out for 2 years, it gives me a different perspective on the game of basketball. You want to play every game like it's your last. You want to give it all you got because you never know when anything can be taken away from you. So you just want to give it your all and win. And if you're having a bad day, as long as you're helping your teammates out and giving all you got, that's all that matters at the end of the day.
What is this team's expectation for this year? Obviously, just competing in your division is, obviously the first step. And last year, I think this team very much held their own after losing some big players the year before. And now, you guys come together, and like I said, it's your senior year, and you guys can really get together now and do some big things.
Yeah, 100%. We lost some key players, and I think we have some players here that have to fill some big roles. And it's just all about, playing with each other and it's to take it one game at a time. It doesn't matter who we play as long as we win, or if we don't win, and we learn from it for the next game. And it's all about learning from the next game and the previous game. So it's.
Were you excited for this camp today? You guys had to wait all day the last game there, and I'm like.
Yeah, I've been here since 12. I'm just checking on everybody.
So we're just watching the whole day. This is what we do. We come here the next 2 days. We'll just be talking to people. So
100%.
For you guys, it's just what was Coach's message come today?
Excuse me?
Coach's message. What was his message saying? Okay, we're here. It's the middle of the summer. Just really just try to play hard, or was it like, all right, did he have anything particular that he expected out of you guys today?
No, he just wanted us. He didn't expect to get as many people as we did coming here today. We all had different priority, and he just said, give it your all. That's all we can do, and see what happens. And this is the time where we see where we need to grow and what we need to do for the upcoming season. So we build from here, and it only goes up.
I ask a lot of seniors this because this camp has become very popular for girls basketball in the Shore. How much do you feel that this really helps going into the fall, and for those who play fall league?
I think it's great, honestly. I think it helps us a lot because we can always reflect back on this, and it's like a growth point where we can look back and see how much better we got when we're towards the end of the season, in the middle of the season, and we can say, oh, look how far we got. And it can be a motivation to see look where we started and look how far we come. We got to push through, and we just got to do what we need to do and get our business done.
Well, tell you what, thanks.
Yeah.
So thanks once again to Haley Porcelli from Freehold Township, taking a couple minutes there with Jim Rosa. You hear from her on Marooncast here. Jim's still with us. Ryan Wydra hanging in with us, as well as Sean Martin, your host. And we are getting near the end, but we still have a couple teams to talk about that, again, are two very talented teams and some teams that have some high expectations. We start, guys, with Red Bank Catholic, and this is a team that, we'll throw to the interviews and get all of that things as well, but this is a team that, the same cast of players, and you can talk about, kind of ranking teams based on what they have. Just looking at, if you were going to take the roster book that we have here and hand it to somebody that didn't know these teams and ask them to rank the rosters, they'd probably say, oh, well, the ones with a lot of seniors are pretty good, and, they could get a general feel for things. Well, RBC, we looked at this group and said that as freshmen, they were going to get good experience. As sophomores, they were going to take another step up. Now they're juniors, and I don't think they've met kind of all the expectations that they've wanted to, but, your junior year is really where you can get a lot out of yourself as a player. So RBC, with their cast of juniors, what are we looking for this year, guys?
Well, I think experience is going to be a big factor for this Casey's team. If you look at their starting lineup, this group has already been together for the past 2 years. When you look at Rose Caverly, Haley Moore at the guard positions, then you got the seniors, center Maureen Coakley and forward Josie Larkins. They've been with the program now for 3 years. Two excellent players. Both Maureen and Josie had an outstanding game against Marlborough on the court today. I've been hearing a lot about Josie working hard throughout the offseason, that she's really brought her game to another level. So her game and her leadership is definitely going to be a big factor. Then you look at some of the younger players on this team, like Amanda Hart really came onto the scene last year as a sophomore. She was able to hit some clutch shots in big games, so that was really big for this RBC team. And look, we talked about Rumson and George Sorless earlier. Joe Montano is another great here in the Shore Conference. He's been around for a long time, and he's won multiple championships. And even these kids, too, they know what it takes to win. They've won 2 division titles now, so they know what it takes. It's just a matter of bringing their game to another level and being able to go deeper in the playoffs. If this team can gel together and if the chemistry is really good, they could definitely make a run in the Shore Conference tournament as well as non-public A in the state tournament.
Sean, as you know, I got a chance to talk to Rose Caverly, and, a lot of things she just said about the team was basically just how great it was that this team, is able to spend so much time together, and, just how great it has been to be able to spend these past couple years all together. And, this is something that's going to be a huge factor for this team if, they're going to get a chance to go, deep in the playoffs.
For sure. So you mentioned the interview that you have with Rose Cavalry. We have Maureen Coakley as well. So let's give you both of those here before we come back on Marooncast. So we'll take a break, hear from those two RBC players, and come back to wrap things up. Marooncast, Red Bank Catholic, pretty strong showing here from Red Bank Regional at the Maroon and White War at the Shore Camp.
Maureen, great win here over Marlboro, 44-29. You guys came out a little sluggish in the first half, but were really able to pick it up in the second. What adjustments were you guys able to make?
Well, Coach helped us. He told us what we were missing, what we needed to work on. We found out we needed to close out more, get in the pass, and we have to defend them. We came out slow. It's been a long season coming here, getting here, and now we're just trying to finish. And we had to talk each other through it. We had to just keep helping each other and pushing us to the best we can do. Even though we're a little banged up, we had to keep pushing.
How big was Josie Larkins there for you in the second half? She was really pouring it on, came up with 3 3-pointers, and was just really slashing to the basket very well.
Josie is a great shooter. I mean, she's always there. When you need a shot and you see her open, you know she's going to have a hot hand. You got to hit her, and you know she's going to make it. Everyone has faith that she's going to hit it. She does. So you just got to, when she's on, you got to get it to her.
I know this has been a pretty crazy week for you guys, playing down at the best of Maryland, playing against some of the best competition in the country, nationally ranked teams. What were you guys able to learn about each other, and what did you learn the most from your experience playing in that tournament?
From each other, we learned that we have to keep pushing each other to the best we can be. We have to share the ball because we're best when we share the ball. We look for the open man. If we have a good shot, we know there's a better shot, so we look for the open man, we pass it. I mean, I learned what my strengths and weaknesses are. I know that I have to turn and face the basket, and I know my team needs me to rebound. So when I go out there, I need to make sure that every rebound I have to get, so that way we can get the ball and go, so that way we have a better chance of winning.
You guys have had your solid core together for the last couple years between you, Josie, Rose, Haley, Katie. Who are some surprise players, maybe some of your freshmen or sophomores that we could look out for this year?
Definitely Amanda Hart, and I think Eliza, they're stepping up a lot. Eliza's diving on the ground. She's working on defense. Amanda is driving, getting shots. She's hitting the open person. She's pushing the ball off the floor. They're doing everything we need them to do to help us become a better team.
You guys have improved a lot over the past years, and 2 years ago, everybody was referring to you guys as being the babies because you were so young. Now, after having so much experience the past 2 years, what is it going to take for you guys to take that next step and really make that run, competing for a non-public A championship this year? I mean, this is really going to be a great shot, especially with St. John Vianney losing so many players to graduation.
We all want it. We've been talking about how we want to make it all the way. We're taking our desire to win and we're just pushing it, and we're really digging in. In practice, we're diving on the ground, we're knocking each other down, just so that way when it comes to the final game, we know we're going to come out winning.
And as a player, what are some of your personal goals for the season?
I want to become a better leader. I need to work on that. I'm one of the captains along with Josie and Tia, and I need to step it up in order to help my team and help coach to figure out how we're going to make it to the last game and take home everything.
All right, Maureen, thanks again, and good luck this year. It's going to be a great one.
Thank you.
So, Rose, obviously we're here, very excited to get back to basketball. Saw you guys playing. You guys looked like you were, moving the ball really well. Looks like your team was just having a good day. Just talk about, coming here to the camp and how this really helps.
Well, we just came back from Best of Maryland, and that
We lost a few games, but it showed like what we needed to work on. And I think coming here today and winning just like really helped our confidence and stuff. And I don't know, I think we're playing more together as the summer continues, and that's what we need. Like if we play together, I think we can beat a lot of good people this year. So.
You know, a lot of people a couple years ago, everyone talked about you guys being such a young team, and now you guys have been able to grow and playing together for these last couple years. You know, what does that really say about a team like, you know, your team that can really just stay together and play and really just learn a lot from each other?
I think we were really underestimated because of our age, but I think we've gotten so much experience from all the playing older teams and playing. Because, I don't know, my freshman year, it was 2 freshmen starting, so that really gave us a lot of experience and just made us so much better.
You know, we talked about the upcoming schedule a little bit before, and with Manasquan coming in, how do you feel that your division has really changed, and what do you feel the challenges are now of playing?
I think that with better teams in our division, it's going to help us more in the short conference, because last year our division, we didn't really have that many good teams except Neptune, and we got shocked in the tournament when tournaments came around. So I think playing better teams during the actual season will help us when it comes time for tournaments.
You know, what is Coach Montano's message in the summertime, especially when you guys still have a decently long way till the start of the season? But knowing him, he's always getting you guys prepared for anything, and even at this time, you can always learn from everything.
Yeah, he just wants us to stay together, play together. That's all he really asks of us, and I think that if we do that, we'll be really good.
You know, the one thing I always like to say about teams when they come here is you never know what you can learn, and you're always learning something different. Would you say that, when you're here at this type of thing, even though you guys are only here today, like you said, coming from the best of Maryland, it really helps you once the season comes around?
Yeah, definitely, because playing with each other in the summer just makes us 10 times better when we come back in the fall and when we come back for regular season time. So, yeah, no, it was definitely worth it going to both of these.
Are there any challenges that are associated with that? As we mentioned, you're playing a lot of games, you're playing, at a very rapid pace as well.
Yeah, well, obviously, we're all tired, but I think that, even when we play tired, there's one person that'll just pick us up, and it gets us all going, and it makes us just that much better. So.
When you come to a place like this, obviously you get to see other different teams. What are you evaluating really when you're looking at different teams as far as, okay, hey, these are the teams that we're going to play in the regular season, and what can you take away from watching other teams here?
Just seeing all the other teams play and how much better they've gotten. It shows when I see our team and see how much better we've gotten, how we're going to compare against them, and I think that when the season comes around, we're going to shock a lot of people, and I don't know, I'm excited.
Thanks so much, appreciate it.
Our last segment here on Marooncast. Again, thank you everybody for tuning in. Thanks to the camp organizers, the coaches for collectively coming together, giving us some great basketball to watch these past couple of days. Short Conference girls basketball, of course, always played at a high level, always worthy of our attention, and we try to bring you the best coverage that we can of it. And we appreciate anybody that takes a look at that, takes a look at our stuff on Twitter, wherever else you may find us, and listens to podcasts like these. It truly means a lot. So we have one segment left, like we said, and it's a worthy one. It's about a team that we definitely have a lot of good things to say. They might even have been the best team at this entire camp if you talk about what they needed to show going in, what they came out with, as far as what we're going to talk about, and that it would be for Toms River North, this young cast of players from last year that everybody took notice of. Well, start taking notice of them again, starting right now, based on what they showed this summer here in this camp. I had our morning game today against SJV, played at a tremendously high level for a summer camp game, ended up going to 2 short overtime periods, which were 2 minutes each, to decide a winner. TRN coming away with the win there, and this is a team that already just looks so impressive with this group being, mostly sophomore driven. Brielle Basagno, of course, leading the way at the point guard, and how much she's done. And, what you love about her, always active at the 3-point line, swatting passes away defensively. She does so much. Jenna Paul as well, Amanda Johnson. This team just has so many pieces that are so versatile. And, they're going to have some weaknesses, obviously, that get exposed as the season goes on, and they're going to have some things that they're going to have to deal with still being young. But for a cast of sophomores coming out here early in the morning after already playing the last 2 days and going up against an SJV team, with the pedigree that they have, they work pretty good, and they have a lot of good things that we can say about them. So I'll ask you guys now, what are we looking at as far as future improvements for a very promising Toms River North Mariners squad?
Well, Ryan, I know you said this earlier. Me and you both talked a lot about Crystal Hunt and how productive she's been, in this camp, and how great of a player, she can be this year. And we look at this roster and we say, wow, they also have a freshman in Christina Johnson. both of those players can really make this Toms River North team a pivotal team this year.
You know, Crystal Hunt came into the lineup last year and played good basketball, but, you know, when you have a chance to get two of the best freshmen on the AAU circuit in Brielle Basagno and Jenna Paul, you kind of have to take a back seat. And, of course, you know, Ashley Tutsayer and Amanda Johnson being there. But I'll tell you what, you could tell that Crystal Hunt has really, really been working on her game since the previous season ended. I mean, she was out there in the court over the past 2 days just diving for loose balls, just ripping off steals, you know, just being able to identify the driving lanes and just slash into the basket and scoring points. I mean, she's really, really got a much better all-round game. And, you know, like you mentioned, Christina Johnson, the younger sister of Amanda, was out there hitting threes, just really making the most out of her minutes and the opportunities that she was getting. I mean, you look at this Toms River North team, they played very well last year. They finished 18-9, including a win on the road against the eventual champion Southern Regional. They get their entire starting five back, plus a very strong bench. They're going to have a very good opportunity to win a South this year.
Yeah, this Toms River North team, definitely a team that everyone's going to want to get out to watch. You know, we're going to spend so much time talking about the perennial powers and watching the perennial powers in this conference. You know, we're going to be seeing Manasquan, we're going to be watching Rumson, we're going to be watching RBC. Take the time, get out to a Toms River North game. They were playing an incredibly high level of basketball that is a lot of fun to watch. You know, fast-paced. Definitely worth your time here in the Sort Conference. TRN trying to prove a lot of things. They've done it here in this camp. Crystal Hunt, you know, you guys took the words out of my mouth there. Said all the good things that needed to be said about her. And she was very impressive, of course, along with Paul and Basagno. That big three they have there, the rest of their bench, everybody on this North squad ready to go as a young team to make some noise here in the Shore Conference and as a competitive team. So we're going to throw to our last group of interviews, and it involves Toms River North. It is Brielle Basagno and Jenna Paul together, so let's hear from those two players and then be back to wrap things up. This is Jim Rosa with those two.
So guys, obviously it's great to be back here playing basketball. It's 100 degrees in here, but I guess, you know, whatever works. But, you know, just how does it feel to be back, be on the court, just really getting prepared for next season after both of you just had phenomenal freshman years?
Thank you. I love playing basketball and I play all year round, but high school is definitely my favorite because I've been playing with these girls for a very long time. Yeah, same.
Come on.
Come on, same. Well, our team's great. We just got back and we push the ball a lot and we run the floor, and I just like playing with that team.
So far, what's been different from last year? A lot of expectations for you guys this year. Would you say that?
I think our defense has gotten better and our offense, and we've also had new freshmen that have came up that are also very good, so they can help us. Yeah, Paige Farley and Christina Johnson are definitely great players, and they're going to do something this year.
For both of you, what have been the things that you've been trying to work on so far? A lot of time left till the season starts, but obviously any time you can get some practice in, the better, right?
I work on my defense a lot because in high school I'm a center, but for AU I'm a guard. So I have to work on my footwork and all that stuff. Yeah, I need to work on boxing out because I just sprint the floor every time and don't even really box my person out. So I have to work on that.
You know, one of the things I've noticed right away here is just how much depth you guys have, and almost anyone on your team can take a big shot if needed. How is it for both of you that you can just go out there and have a lot of, you know, confidence that, hey, we can give the ball to anybody?
Well, teamwork is a big thing, like with our team, and I know that if I see an open person, I give them the ball, I have confidence in them, and they do the same for me. If I'm open, I know they'll get me the ball. So. My coach honestly gives me confidence. He tells me go out there, don't be scared, give it all you got, and...
You know, the development of this program seems like something that, you know, has been going on for a few years now, and with both of you really playing your best basketball right now, what things do you think you can continue to get better at going forward in hopes that you guys can get to a spot, you know, like some of the Monmouth County programs?
Well, we're still young, and with the new freshmen coming up, I think if we all work together, we'll be like a Monmouth County team. Yeah, I think we need to finish our layups more because we miss a lot of layups, and I think we should just, you know...
Looking forward to you guys playing Middletown South. What are some of the things that you guys can take out of that game? I know both of you, you know, we've talked about some of these teams, and I know you guys have watched like another team, you know, in Monmouth County, even a public school, you know, like you guys can be. And just what can you take away from what, you know, Coach Brennan and those guys have been able to do over the last couple of years, and to play a team like that, you know, at this moment? Well,
I'm excited to play Middletown South because I've never really played Monmouth County teams a lot. So they're a big team and they're strong, physical, aggressive. So we just gotta work together and box out and do all the little things to make it count.
Yeah, we need to box out. There's big girls down there, and their guards are quick too. Like Isla, she's quick. We have to move our feet on defense, not reach.
One of the things, as I mentioned, with so many different players on your team, who would you guys say are the bigger leaders? I mean, of course, both of you, but overall, if you had to say, who are the leaders on your team at this point?
Definitely Amanda Johnson and Ashley Tutzauer. They're both older than us, but they always try and pick us up when we're down, and they lead the team, get us going, pump us up.
How big do you think that this year overall, definitely we saw Ashley hit some big shots, especially in division, and when you guys are playing teams like, Toms River South, just talk about the depth in A South this year and how that's definitely going to affect your, going through your schedule this year.
It's going to be tough. Like Southern's going to be a tough team. We just have to work together, get each other pumped up.
Yeah, I would say Amanda Johnson is our biggest leader because whenever I'm in foul trouble and reaching, not having a good game, she always picks me up and says, "You're okay, you're fine." And
all right. Thanks, guys. I appreciate it. Thank you.
All right, so as we briefly begin to start turning our attention towards the fall before we look ahead to the winter with these girls basketball teams that we got to see here at Maroon and White, this has been a great edition here of Marooncast here on NJSportsReport.com. You can go find us on Twitter at NJSportsReport. Once again, you can find all three of us individually over there on Twitter. I am at SourceSportsNJ. You can find Jim at Jim Rosa 59team. And be sure to check out Ryan at SCHoops1. So you're going to want to follow all of us. Stay tuned to what we're doing. A lot of exciting things coming. If you're into these podcasts, you've been listening all the way to the end. I already, said how appreciative we are, and we all, of course, love, getting people to tune into shows like this. We're going to have a lot more podcasts coming up as well. So if you like these podcasts, again, stay tuned. You're going to get more of them. But for now, we put some closing thoughts on what was 3 days of good basketball that we can't get enough of. Guys, your closing impressions from the 2016 Maroon and White.
This camp has definitely been a great camp, Sean. I think we get to really see what kind of talent we have in this conference at one time, and that's the difference is, we get to so many games in the winter. When we see all these teams together and all these players individually, it's definitely great. There should be some, great games in the Shore Conference this year, and of course, we get to just see each and every, individual's talent along with their team talent.
Again, this camp is a great opportunity. You have a lot of teams that don't see each other during the regular season who get a chance to compete here, so it's very important to teams for player development, especially teams that are trying to develop a strong bench throughout the course of the season. I think what we saw here today is no doubt in my mind that both Manasquan and St. Rose will definitely enter the year as number 1 and number 2 in the state respectively. I think once you get past there, looking at teams like Red Bank Catholic, St. John Vianney, Rumson Fairhaven, they'll all be fighting for those 3, 4, and 5 spots. Of course, Middletown South, Neptune, they'll be very competitive. And, even getting past there, teams like Toms River North, Southern Regional, Donovan Catholic, Middletown North, Point Pleasant Borough, they'll be right there in the mix for the top 10 in the Shore. So, like Jim said before, I think this is going to be a very competitive season. It's going to be a war. The Shore Conference always is. That's why it's one of the best in the country for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we cannot wait to bring you more girls basketball content. You'll have all three of us at gyms around the Shore, live tweeting these games, getting interviews for you, pictures, audio, anything that you need over there at NJSportsReport.com. For now, this is Marooncast. This is from Red Bank Regional High School one last time. Saul Martin, Jim Rosa, and Wydra. Thanks to everybody. Thanks to Mike over at Current Recovery as well. And we'll see you in the gym sometime this winter. It's going to be a fun season. Thanks again for tuning in. Until next time.